I'm Andy, I teach mythology and folklore, and this is Tantalizing Myths. Today I've got a few thoughts on Lilith, Adam's ex-turned-demon succubus. I'll post a link to the text below. But before we get to her actual story, we need to delve into her origin. Yeah, we have to do the superhero backstory thing first. For this, we turn to the book of Genesis. Now we're going biblical. She isn't mentioned by name. Fun fact, the word Lilith is only mentioned in Isaiah, and is often translated as screech owl in the King James Version, or night creature in others. So her origin is actually tied up in a technicality of sorts. When we look at Genesis 1:26, we have, "Let us make humans in our own image, according to our likeness." However, when we look at Genesis 2:22, we see that man was created first, and that the rib that the Lord had taken from the man he made into a woman, and brought her to the man. Yes, there are two distinct stories of the creation of man and woman in Genesis. Which one is the real version? We don't care. I could go on and on about the different narratives and their probable origins, but that takes us very far away from Lilith. We might get into it for other stories, though. The important point here is that the rabbis who interpreted the Torah, the first 5 books of the Old Testament, also known as the Pentateuch, treated the stories as if they were both correct, meaning one happened and then the other one happened later. We know one of the stories' creations is for Eve, who is the mother of Cain, Abel, Seth, etc., which makes her the second woman. Other interpretations have tried to simply skip past one version of the story or blend them together in such a way as there's only one account. We'll take a deeper look into Genesis another time. That dual creation is the loophole that allows for Lilith to even have a story. Not in the Bible. No, not in the Bible. There are barely whispers of Lilith in the Midrash, which was how rabbis tried to fill in the gaps, that's what she said, of the Torah. At the end of our series, we'll get into what's mentioned in the Talmud and other Midrash, but her actual story finally gets made during the Middle Ages, somewhere between 700 and 1000 CE, that's Common Era, in what's known as the Alphabet of Ben Sirah. I'm sorry about the pronunciation, I can't do the Hebrew and Yiddish, sorry. This was thousands of years after when her story was supposed to take place. Okay, so we've got the Genesis stuff out of the way. Her story in the Alphabet of Ben Sirah sees Adam and Lilith arguing pretty much from the beginning. And since money hasn't been invented yet, the big argument is about sex. What they're arguing about is not how frequently or how many headaches Lilith has to avoid it. In fact, they're talking about position. Lilith will not lie below. Some people have tried to spin this as being something more basic, like who is in charge in their marriage, but Adam confirms, "I will not lie below, but above, since you are fit for being below and I for being above." So yeah, they're arguing about intimate positions. I'm sure Adam would have blown a gasket if he saw the Kama Sutra. We probably shouldn't mention blowing to him either. A lot of scholars have already pointed this out already, that this whole argument is about establishing dominance. No, not like 50 Shades of Grey. Well, maybe. It definitely shows up more in other myths. What we're talking about would popularly be thought of as establishing the alpha status. Especially in ancient myths and their sexual hierarchies, men are dominant, they're the aggressors, the actors. Women are supposed to be submissive, the passive receivers of male prowess. No matter what, just due to anatomical differences, Lilith was always going to be receiving from Adam. Think IKEA furniture. Insert tab A into slot B. However, even our language today shows which side is the supposed actor in what. What Lilith wanted is to reword it slightly. Slide slot B over tab A. This would make her the actor of their intimacy. This is truly fascinating because, as Lilith correctly points out, they are both made from the earth. Their mannerisms and dispositions are very much the same. She wants to be as involved in their intimacy as much as he does. Far from feigning headaches or other excuses for not being together, Lilith actively wants to get it on. Cue the Barry White music. We're just at the beginning of Lilith's tantalizing story, so I hope you'll come back for our next look at her.